Friends, I get asked from time to time by people that I know to try and help them understand what's going on with COVID. Just had another call today and I chatted with someone else yesterday afternoon. So I thought I'd put together a video for you to kind of catch you up on some of the questions that maybe we all should be thinking and try to process in regard to what is happening with COVID-19. Right now in Australia, as I record this, there's a lockdown just about right across most of the country, and things are looking as uncomfortable as they've been over the past year and a half. At the same time, we have a situation where when we try to get information, we try to dig behind COVID and find out what's going on, we get a lot of misinformation. Goodness me, there's all kinds of stories out there. And at the same time, we find that when you go to try and explore and have some reasonable conversation, you just might get X'd off the internet. I've had a number of my videos, which I thought were really quite tame, asking questions and making suggestions that have been removed because they didn't fit the approved story. Now that in itself becomes a bit of a concern. Why in the world could we not just have open debate? Why can't people be wrong? Why can't people that are wrong just be left online, even if they are wrong? But instead there seems to be kind of a process of taking the debate off the internet so that people are left with a very limited option of information that might come their way. So, as I record this, standing out of my back paddock, I want to see if this might prompt your thinking and help you understand something of what's going on. So today, I want to start the process of fact-checking the COVID story. Let's have a look at the COVID story and how well it stacks up. What is the COVID story? Well, if we go to Wikipedia, let's see how they describe COVID-19. Wikipedia says that COVID-19 is a contagious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, otherwise known as SARS-CoV-2, and the first known case was identified in Wuhan, China in December 2019. That's a key date to keep in mind. The disease has since spread worldwide, leading to an ongoing pandemic. Well, that's the Wikipedia version. What's your understanding of COVID? If you're like me, you will remember that sometime late in 2019, although we weren't really aware of it then, maybe early 2020, we came to understand that there was some sort of a disease that had just recently sprung up in China, in Wuhan in China. And apparently that was in December of 2019. And so in January and February of 2020, we learned that this disease was beginning to spread across the globe, and we didn't know what it was. There was a whole lot of confusion, and there were video clips that were passing around of a Chinese person standing there rocking on their feet and then falling over. And it just gave the impression that something really dreadful must be happening in China. Then there were rumors about people being welded into their buildings because they had this disease, and goodness me, there was just all sorts of stuff going around that left us wondering what in the world this thing is all about. Well, the World Health Organization came to our rescue, and so they should. We'd understand that they're responsible for keeping an eye on what's happening around the world and knowing exactly what's going on. And the World Health Organization declared in about February 11th of 2020 that this thing was a disease, it was a variation of a coronavirus, and that they were going to name it COVID-19. So COVID-19 was short for COVID Virus Disease 2019. And then COVID was born. It was a month later, on the 11th of March in 2020, that the World Health Organization came out and said this is a global pandemic. And at that point, everybody got particularly concerned. We began to think of things like the Spanish flu from the early part of the 1900s. And there was the thought, what is this going to do? How far is it going to spread? How many millions of people are going to die around the world? What's it look like? What symptoms are there? And so on. And we were then introduced to a world that was dominated by COVID-19. Well, international borders were shut down. People were kept in their homes. We were told to keep social distancing, to wear a face mask. All sorts of restrictions were put upon us, and most of us didn't really know what was going on, so we were scared enough to do whatever they told us to do. And that's our understanding of the COVID-19 beginnings as they took place end of 2019 and then really hitting the world early in 2020. So let's consider what the World Health Organization says about COVID-19. If you go to their website and have a look at their definition of COVID-19, this will give us some understanding of what we're dealing with. Look at what it says. COVID-19 is the disease caused by a new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. The World Health Organization first learned of this new virus on the 31st of December 2019, following a report of a cluster of cases of viral pneumonia in Wuhan in the People's Republic of China. So, that's what the World Health Organization understood. The very end of 2019, they first learned that this thing existed, and they had then to respond, as they have, and most countries around the world are following whatever the World Health Organization recommendations are. I've been advised by the Health Department here in Victoria in Australia that the department completely follows the instructions of the World Health Organization. Now, Australia then, as a nation, should certainly have its own definition of what COVID virus or COVID-19 actually is. So have a look at how the Australian government, the Health Department here in Australia, defines COVID-19. Our website says what you need to know about coronavirus COVID-19. What is COVID-19? And it goes on with the answer. Coronaviruses are a large family of viruses that cause respiratory infections. These can range from the common cold to more serious diseases. COVID-19 is a disease caused by a form of coronavirus. And at that point, the website goes on to talk about why you should be locked down or why you should get a jab. No further explanation. Oh, they go into symptoms, of course, but no further explanation about the origin or anything else. And of course, the origins have come up with a lot of discussion, because the original story was that it came from bats or something in a wet market in Wuhan. And now I think everybody is pretty convinced that it came out of a laboratory in Wuhan, and the Australian government doesn't go there. But when we have a look at this, we see that a number of countries corroborated with the World Health Organization right early in the piece, and they issued a joint statement to the world about their commitment to being able to fully understand what COVID-19 is all about. Let me read you what Australia, amongst many other countries, signed up to in collaboration with the World Health Organization. This is what we declare is our commitment. We support a transparent and independent analysis and evaluation, free from interference and undue influence, of the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. It goes on to talk about a rapid, independent, expert-led and unimpeded evaluation of the origins, which is critical. So now we come to fact-checking. Let's fact-check the story that's told by the World Health Organization, by the Australian government, and by governments all around the world. How well does that stack up? What we discover, to our surprise, is that COVID-19 was actually known and talked about in 2015. Now, we know that because of a patent that was filed with the Dutch government back in 2015 talking about COVID-19. Have a look at this. There was a COVID-19 testing procedure patented in October 2015. A Richard Rothschild patented a thing called a system and method for testing for COVID-19. That was registered in Holland in October 13, 2015. That's a long time before December 2019. So COVID-19 was an existing label for a disease back in 2015. COVID-19 was not named COVID-19 because it emerged in 2019, unless they actually maybe planned that it would be released in 2019 and all the preparation was being done beforehand. Bing! We find this fact puts a shockwave through all of the things we've been told and all the things our governments continue to tell us about COVID-19. But there's more. Take a look at this. During 2017 and 2018, COVID-19 diagnostic tests were sold right around the world. There's a record of the import of hundreds of millions of test kits. They were sold worldwide and they were worth billions of dollars. Note that. These test kits are called COVID-19 test kits, and they were on sale and bought by, it seems, most countries around the world back in 2017. That means somebody was talking to these countries and telling the people in the country, the people who made decisions and spent money, that they had to buy these test kits when there was no COVID-19. We know there was no COVID-19. We know that because it wasn't even given that name by the World Health Organization until the 11th of February in 2020. It just didn't exist. Surely it didn't exist. It couldn't have existed before then, because the World Health Organization would certainly know if millions of test kits for a disease were being sold around the world. I mean, that's their job. The World Health Authority would certainly understand that there could not be a COVID-19, and that all this stuff about a patent for a test kit and the selling of the test kits around the world doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, why would the World Health Organization not know all about that? It seems every other government on the planet knew that there were COVID-19 test kits available because they were buying them in the millions. Okay, it even goes further. Let's have a look at this. Here is a picture of a packet in which COVID-19 vaccinations were delivered to be able to be used. And there's a manufacturing date on the packet. And the manufacturing date says 2018. This AstraZeneca vials of injection for people to be protected from COVID-19 was produced 2 years before the World Health Organization gave COVID-19 the name. It created that name to go with this novel coronavirus that came out of Wuhan. So straight away we can see that something doesn't make sense. And certainly the World Health Organization would know that a company like AstraZeneca was already producing a vaccine for a disease and calling it COVID-19 long before February the 11th in 2020. Surely people in that level of understanding knew everything about what might have been going on in the background, about the manufacture of test kits and the exporting of them to every country around the world, and the manufacture of a vaccine for COVID-19. Surely that was fully understood by the World Health Authority, and very likely fully understood by your government and mine, even though they didn't tell us. Because why else would they be buying the test kits if they didn't think they were going to be used, especially spending millions upon millions of dollars? So we know that COVID-19 was known at least by 2015. So how in the world did the World Health Organization not know? And how in the world does the Australian government not know? How in the world does Wikipedia, which pulls all of the world's knowledge together so that we can all understand the best things to know, how come it doesn't know? I rather think these people did know. I would have to say I think they must have known. And just like that rooster you can hear crowing in the background, they should have crowed up and told us exactly what's going on. They should have told us that there is plan for a pandemic and that we have already prepared for it, and don't be surprised when it comes. But instead, preparations were made and you and I were not told. And then when it happened, we were led to believe it had come spontaneously. We were led to believe that the drug companies had to work tirelessly night and day to create a vaccine, which was already in the packages. Hello? Something isn't making sense. Now, friends, this is just a teaser for you. I'm going this far with you just to challenge your thinking and to make you stop and ask the question, why would they be lying to us? Surely they must have known this stuff. What really is going on behind COVID-19? And of course, at that point, we've got to begin to guess, because no one's actually going to tell us. But we do know this, that the people who should know probably did, and they didn't want us to know. Why would you keep such a thing a secret? Why would you scare the wits out of people and lock them down over something that was supposed to have just happened accidentally, when you knew in advance it was going to happen and you'd already bought the test kits and maybe already bought the vaccines in preparation? What was America's Operation Warp Speed all about? Oh, let's get these vaccines made at a super quick pace when they were already in the packet. Hello, friends. Something crazy is going on. Now, I don't say that to scare you. I just simply say that to prompt you to open your eyes and think, wow, this world and what's going on might be quite different to what we think. So how can we better understand, and how can we be better prepared? So I might cover some of that the next time I talk to you. For now, I'm just teasing your consciousness and helping you understand that things aren't the way they look, and maybe we can dig in further and find out better how to be prepared for whatever is going on, because we're not being told the full story. I'm your COVID chaplain, and this is another Swamp Report. I trust it's being helpful for you. God bless you.
He has brought us this far by His grace. He has led us by fire and by cloud. He will bring us to Zion to look on His face. Oh, blessed, oh, blessed may God. Blessed be God, blessed be God, blessed, oh blessed be God. He has sheltered us under His wings. He has planned every path that we trod. He will bring us to Zion, His praises to sing. Oh, blessed, oh, blessed be God. Blessed be God, blessed be God, blessed, oh blessed be God. Blessed be God, blessed be God, blessed, oh blessed